There you are. It looked like we lost you for a second. So what I was just getting ready to do was just share a little bit about, my journey and why Thailand is such a special place for me. So Thailand is where my whole yoga journey actually began. So back in 2009, I did a yoga teacher training, and that was in Koh Samui, Thailand. And so I did 6 weeks in Thailand, and it was a 5 week intensive, and then I had some time afterwards. But um, I did my first 200 hour in Thailand, and it's such a special place for me. And then I've gone back many, many times for advanced trainings and further exploration. But my journey began in Thailand really a long time before that. I went on a very big healing journey back in 2007 and did a lot of deep work, a lot of personal work, and I always knew Thailand was a deep spiritual home for me. And so when it came to deciding on this Asian adventure, I knew I always wanted to lead retreats in Asia and internationally, and Thailand was always the first place on my bucket list on where I want to take people. Thailand is such a special place for me. Um, it really calls to my soul, and it's been a deeply healing place for me. I always call Thailand my spiritual home because of the way that it's held me, the way that it's supported me and guided me through my own healing journey, and then also as a teacher. So um, I can't be more excited to take a group to Thailand. And Christoph, meeting you was such a dream come true because you're the absolute pro in the field of all things Thailand. And so I'm leaning into you for your expertise on all the logistical things, and really, you live in Thailand. And so I want to hear a little bit about you, and then we can kind of dive into the epic journey that we're taking our friends on.
Yeah, I mean, I think Thailand is definitely the way that we really hit it off, right? Because I mean, it's very close to your heart and it's very close to mine. We actually came here more or less around the same time, 2 decades ago. I came actually as part of a university exchange program at Chiang Mai University, studying like indigenous culture and Thai language and whatnot. And then, like, the plan was to be here for 6 months, and then here I am, to 20 years later. It Life has a way of unfolding in miraculous ways sometimes. I spent the first decade developing myself as a yoga teacher, and then from classes and then workshops and then trainings. Eventually, I had lots of friends and family coming to visit me in the process, so I became like this friendly kind of tour guide showing people like my favorite spots, and then eventually um, I started developing my own retreats, which were very much a fusion of me and my own kind of personal style, right? So it was about, yeah, doing a bit of yoga, feeling good in the body, but also about sharing all the wonderful things that I love about this place. So I did that for a couple years, which was pretty intense because you're holding space for like the logistics and the planning and like the the trip itself, and then on the other hand, you're holding the yoga space for people. And then after a few years of that, I was pretty exhausted, and I thought, well, you know what? Maybe it'd be better if I work with yoga teachers because I understand their pain points.
Mm,
And then for the last kind of decade, it's been more working and building relationships with yoga teachers where I handle all like the trip curation, right? And putting together all these amazing experiences for yoga teachers and their students. So we all kind of come to Thailand hand in hand and have what is a rather unique experience. Yeah.
right. Amazing, amazing. And that's how I found you, because I knew that I wanted to take a group to Thailand, but when it came to
Mm.
handling all the logistics and my idea was I wanted to go more than one place, right? I didn't want to just stay in one place for, 10 days, which is nice. And I've done that many times in Thailand, and it was a wonderful experience. But for me, when I thought about bringing a group to Thailand, what intrigued me the most was to get a full experience of the culture and the people, because the north and the south are very, very different places in Thailand. And I just felt like it was so important to have not only like a few locations, but a longer experience, right? Because
Mm.
7 days just doesn't do the country of Thailand justice, right? You need 2 weeks, but we're gonna make a nice 10 days will do. I think it's still a good amount of time to really understand what the heart of Thailand is really all about. So I love to just dive into our itinerary, and we've spent a long time curating this.
Oh my
So
God, yeah.
there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears behind the back, in the background, planning, this epic adventure for you all. And so I really just want to dive into it, and share a little bit about the whys and the hows and what to expect. So Christoph, do you want to kind of dive into that? I'm going to hand it over to you, and we can kind of
Yeah, sure.
cool.
I mean, yeah, I mean, 10 nights is definitely the minimum that it takes to experience what we're putting together, not to mention how far you're coming, right? People also have the option to extend if they feel so inclined, right?
Right.
That said, in terms of the itinerary, we've done it, so many times that like I've kind of it's like a yoga sequence, right? It's got to be balanced, and not
Yeah.
too much nor too little of all the elements that come together to get you feeling amazing by the end of it, right?
Hmm.
And I think we strike a good balance between like discovery and like action as well as like relaxation and some independent time as well. We're doing yoga, generally speaking, once a day in the mornings, and then the rest of the day is filled with you know these cultural experiences across three destinations. So we're kicking off in Chiang Mai, which is the northern kind of Thailand cultural capital where I've been based for most of my adult life. Um, it's gonna
I'm
fly by.
curious. I'm curious
Yeah,
why
yeah.
you decided to stay there. What was the big draw for you?
Well, it's everything that the South is not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it has such a sweet softness to it,
Yeah.
and it's the perfect size. And there's something about this country, generally speaking, I think there's, having lived and been and traveled to so many places, I keep coming back here for a reason. There's nothing quite
Hmm.
like it. And the North in particular, that just has a draw. I think it's like the deep seated, like the Buddhist element combined with like the regional culture, and also like the budgeting, like artistic, creative, young Thai
Hmm.
culture that is kind of taking the old traditions and like spinning them in refreshing ways as well.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
an increasing amount of like really interesting suppliers and partners who are doing really good work that I like to integrate and share.
Yeah. I think it's the perfect place to kick off our retreat. So
Mm,
we
mm, mm.
land we land in Chiang Mai.
We land in Chiang Mai. It's gonna fly by. It's only 2 nights, you know what I mean? So, the time we scoop you all up from the airport and bring you back to settle into like a really nice hotel. That's where we'll be doing yoga by the pool in like this upper floor old teak wood house. We'll be going out for like a couple of my favorite restaurants. There'll be some markets for you to explore in your free time. It'll be just the right balance of like group activities and like some hand holding, but also freedom for you to like have your own experiences. Maybe you're exhausted, you just want to sleep, you want to chill by the pool, you want to join us. That's basically the vibe that we're going for. And of course, there will be some time with elephants. Yes,
I knew you were
because
going
it
to
wouldn't
say
be a
that.
trip to Thailand. Yeah, it's a lovely little elephant place, half an hour outside of town. It's not an it's ethical. It's not an elephant prison by any means.
Mhm.
I went there myself several times, and there's just something quite magical about interacting with these gentle giants, I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that will be
Otherworldly.
quintessentially Thai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of a
So
better way to like land, and really land, like really land into the Thai culture is to experience
mm,
the elephants. So I'm super excited about that. That was a must.
that was non-negotiable.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So from Chiang Mai, then we go right into our next adventure, which is actually one
That's
of
right.
my top, two, three places that I've been to in Thailand. So
I just
where are
got
we
back
going
from there a couple
next?
days ago,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
drive a few hours north up into the, well, technically the Himalayan foothills, really,
Wow.
and we'll be just 20 kilometers or something from Burma.
Hmm.
So really the northern reaches of Thailand, lovely little valley called Pai, one of my favorite hotels. Been close friends with the owner for ages. Um, it is a favorite destination for everyone. And there we'll be spending 4 nights, indulging in a riverside yoga sala, waking up with like the sounds of the birds. There's two
Mm,
pools, a
mm.
saltwater one, super long. You're over, the rooms are overlooking the mountain and the river. Um, Lovely kind of lavish breakfasts, either, as a group or individually. There's no pressure there. People can do their own thing.
I can tell
Uh,
you, as a mom, a morning of lavish breakfast sounds amazing.
right, right, right.
When my coffee doesn't get cold, my eggs don't get cold, and I can actually
Mhm.
just sit and enjoy the breakfast. So, yes, I
Yeah,
love that you just said that.
yeah, yeah. There'll be massages that people can drop in, because it wouldn't be a trip to Thailand without a good old Thai or foot massage. We'll also be visiting along the way to Pai a tea garden,
Hmm.
where it's a very kind of fancy installation on a lush kind of property where we'll learn a little bit about the teas that they cultivate there. We might have time to kind of play in the garden, pick some teas, see how they roasted, do a bit of tasting.
Mm,
And this is the thing, the trip is always kind of broken up in little pieces, so nothing feels like too much.
yeah.
And then also in Pi, it's a great place to cycle. We got a trip to a hot spring, which is, going to be really nice. We'll kind of catch it as the sun goes down. Um, on one of the days, we'll be heading to my friend Philip's property, just like an hour outside. He has like a sort of private estate, and his wife is from the Karen tribal groups, which is actually the groups that I studied, a lifetime ago. I don't remember
Oh, cool.
anything, but I do. I remember enough to know that I like to bring people to these experiences. And we've got a really special day planned there. We'll be visiting an extensive cave, traveling through it on bamboo rafts,
Mm.
having a lovely luncheon upon arrival at their property. Her whole extended family is there also, so they put together like a traditional like animist ceremony with like a wrist tying sequence. And some prayers and mantras in the animist tradition, which is different from the Buddhist way. You will also get your dose of Buddhism as well. But when in the mountains, dig into the animism. And a lovely dinner, a luncheon, and a sort of party at the end of it with the kids from the local school coming down and performing some of the traditional dances, but in a kind of participatory way. Yeah, so it's together. We're not like an
Mm.
audience in that sense. And
Right.
again, been doing this for so long. I mean, these are relationships, right, that I built over the years, and that's why, again, like, Ali, I mean, it's anyone can book a hotel, you know what I mean, and bring your people over, but if you want to really dig into stuff in a meaningful way, I think this is how we rock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. That's why I chose you.
yay.
Yeah, and I will also just say a little anecdote too. When I originally went to Pi, this was a long, long time ago, back in 2007. And
Yeah.
I was only supposed to go for maybe 2 days and ended up staying for a week. It's just one of those places that just really drew me in. There was something so special about just being in this valley and being surrounded
Mm,
by the mountains and the way that the mountains were holding us and the energy of the people, and it just really drew me in. And you also mentioned art and culture, and that was a big draw as well for me, just to experience that aspect, which I think is really profound in Pi. I don't know if it's still like that, but maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a kind of a bohemian kind of
Hmm.
hippie hub, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
there's a bit of a subculture going on there. There's lots of cool bars. There's live music. There's a night market. You can get some tattoos. Yeah, maybe we can all get Thailand yoga holiday tattoos. That'd be great.
To each their own.
Yeah. And after a night in Pai, we can all get up at the crack of dawn for a Buddhist alms ceremony,
Mm, mm.
which is a very kind of traditional ritual in Thailand that most people participate in at some point. The monks do their rounds in the early morning, and so in order to gain merit and boost your karmic brownie points, we will join them at this rather magnificent temple overlooking the rice fields, which would be super green and lush at that time of year in November, which is like the best month to come. It's not too hot, not too cold, everything very green. We'll walk over this bamboo bridge and visit
Mm.
this forest monastery, and we'll even have like a private sermon with them with some Q&A. Because
Wow.
I tell you, Q&A with monks is much more interesting than Q&A with me.
Right. Right. No, that
Yeah.
sounds like the perfect morning for sure.
But it's hard to
Um,
describe, like, it's like I want to
it
describe the
is.
trip, but I don't want to give it all
Yeah, I
away.
know we can't give it all away, but I will tell you, like I've experienced the morning almsgivings, and it is one of the
Right.
most magical experiences. It's so quiet, and yet there's just so much gratitude.
Mm,
Everyone just has so much gratitude and so much joy and peace. There's a lot of peace
yeah.
in those experiences, and so definitely one of those things not to miss for sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So we're in Pi. And then where do we go from there?
On that note, it's like
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
There's so much crazy shit going on right now, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why, like, we can talk ourselves out of doing things like this 100 different ways. But and you can also look at it in terms of like, there's never been a better time to take a trip and have an experience and get a little fresh perspective and come back to your life somehow renewed and shifted, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I think, at the end of the day, more people would tend to regret not having made the leap than having gone, right?
Yeah. I couldn't agree
Because it
with you
does
more.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
does.
yeah.
And that's why I travel, to get outside
Mm,
of my tiny little box, to get outside my
right.
comfort zone a bit and experience something that's quite profound and quite magical. And it shifts your
Mm,
perspective in such a way. It
yeah,
opens you, it softens you, and expands you,
yeah.
and yeah, it's profound. And so um, now is the time.
Right.
Now is
There's
the
never been
time.
a worse time, and there's never been a better time.
I agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So where do we go from
Okay, and then from
Pi?
there, from there, okay, from there, boom, hop on a jet plane, and before you
Hmm.
know it, we'll be in Phuket, right?
And that flight's all included,
Um,
and that flight's included, and everybody's rate and everything
yeah,
like
I
that.
mean
Yeah.
everything's included, all
Hmm.
the bells and
Hmm.
the whistles and all the little
Hmm.
things in between. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so 5-star beachfront hotel, lovely, very walkable, swimmable beach. And that will be again, each experience will be so contrasted, because we start in Chiang Mai, it's a very traditional Lana style hotel. Then we go to like Pai, this like bohemian hippie place in the north, but in like really kind of fancy, kind of European 1920s Asian colonial style. And then boom, before we know it, we're in Phuket, which is like a larger kind of also fancy hotel. And there it will be very much about connecting with kind of the oceanic elements, right? We'll have a few group dinners, but you also have some time to yourself. Additionally to that, some highlights will be a singing bowl meditation with our kind of oceanfront yoga sala, which is under a giant kind of Bodhi tree. Pretty epic,
Hmm.
as well as a day out on a boat that we're chartering where we're going to do some swimming, pop by some beaches, just have a good time. We'll also hit up. I mean, Phuket is like a world capital for Muay Thai, so it wouldn't be a trip to Phuket without a little ass kicking, combined with a little cold plunge because it gets really hot.
I've been
uh,
practicing. I've been
right, right,
practicing
right,
since
right, right.
June.
Yeah,
I've been practicing
yeah,
kickboxing,
yeah.
so I'm
Right, right,
excited.
right. Yeah, and like, by the end of the trip, I think that's where it's really time to for like deep relaxation and like
Mhm.
and letting things kind of settle, right? Think of the whole trip as a yoga practice, the first, you get centered, it warms up a little bit, you hit the climax and it comes down. And that's kind of what the arc that we're going for. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
that's perfect. That's perfect. And it really is. It's the whole thing is a yoga practice. And even the travel. I will mention, the front end and back end of travel. That's all the part of the practice. And so it takes time to get there and we want to just that's why I think what's so important is that we really give everyone a really wholesome and full, well-rounded experience. And I think that it sounds like there's a lot going on, but it also sounds like there's so much time for
Mm.
peace and quiet and introspection and take what you need, leave the rest, right? So there's everything's optional, right? So you always have time and space and you always have choice and but we've really curated such an incredible experience for everyone and I mean, I have been looking forward to this for so long now. And I mean, just the amount of time we started planning this I think it was last May, I reached out to you.
Mm. Mm.
So it's been a long time coming and we've spent a lot of time like really making this itinerary stand out because it is. It's like, yeah, I could just book a trip with a group of people and book a few hotels along the way and call it a day, but it's like no, I wanted your experience. I wanted your deep knowledge and breadth of you know your time that you lived in Thailand, but also the experiences that you've already curated. And so that was really important to me. And also you even mentioned relationships, right? The relationships that you
Mm.
have, the established relationships that you have with people in the area is just going to make this such a more unique and special experience for everyone, because people will be able to see things, experience things that you won't just see when you book a regular trip through a travel agent. It's going to be so far beyond that and that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to work with you and I'm so
Mm.
excited that you said yes and and that we got to this place that we are. I think that we've got a really incredible group going and I know that we still have a few days left of early bird pricing and so if you're still on the fence and you have questions feel free to pop them into the chat and if you can't meet if you're not here on the live then pop them in on the comments once this is saved and I'm happy Christoph and I are happy to answer any questions that you all have and but yeah, Diana says this sounds epic and we are definitely in the hands of the best with you and Christoph. I'm so psyched.
Yes, you are, Diana. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like
So
the travel and logistics, I think what we'll do is once the early bird is over and like, we kind of know who's coming, who's in and out, then we'll probably have another kind of invitation only call to like address specific logistics like flights and stuff like this. And but until then, yeah, like you say, we got a little few more days for the early bird and yeah, I think another thing worth mentioning is like if you're thinking of bringing people along, a lot of the types of people that I see a lot of people coming and bringing like their parents or the children. It's a good opportunity for that. Even like couples do
mhm,
come. In fact, a lot of the times, because most of my guests and my teachers have always been recurring and keep coming back.
mm,
And the thing I hear a lot is, I wish I had brought so and so, right? Because for example, the wife comes on the first trip and then she comes to realize that, this isn't like a typical like yoga retreat, right? This is the kind of thing that it's not just for like yoga people, right? There's a
right.
lot more to it than that, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
and so that's also maybe something for people to consider as well
Yeah.
in terms of what's appropriate. Yeah.
Right. And I'm really glad you mentioned that, because one of the
Mm.
ways that I teach is I teach to all levels. I teach
Mm.
to all levels always. And that means that beginners to the most advanced yogi are all welcome. The way that I teach is in such a way that it can be welcoming for everyone. And so, and like I said before, you don't want to wake up early for morning meditation, no problem, right? Things are always optional, but they are always going to be staples for each day.
Mm.
Like, we'll start with the morning breath and meditation practice, and and depending on our flow that day, maybe we have an evening restorative practice, or we have a yoga flow or something like that. But everything is going to be curated in such a way that it's welcome to all levels of yogis, from the very earliest beginner to somebody who maybe has never even done yoga before, to the most advanced practitioner. So I am here to support all of it, and really guide you into an experience, into your body, into your mind, and into the practice. So it's truly a deep honor and joy that I have, and to share that with others. So yeah, I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because that's an important aspect, because yeah, we don't want people to have FOMO.
Someone's gonna get FOMO. It's inevitable.
It is inevitable, for sure, for sure. Yeah. So, what do you think about, if someone's on the fence? Oh, I don't know if I can afford that. It's a big expense. So, what would you say? What would you say to that, question? Because I know that it's come up a lot for me, and what you.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our trips are not cheap, right?
Yeah.
But they are high value, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
in there, and but more importantly than that, I think, as I mentioned before, like when I have decisions like this to make, I think, okay, 5 to 10 years from now, if I look back on this moment, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to, regret, right, having come or not having come, right?
Yeah.
And generally speaking, the more we experience life, the more meaning it gives to it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd totally go for the trip over a new car.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I was just speaking with somebody the other day about this, and I was like, "Here's how I make my decisions." And this is not
Mm.
to say that this is how everybody makes their decisions, but when there's something that I know that my heart and soul are a yes, I
Mm.
say yes. And then I just trust that nature will support me. And that's how it's been every time. For example, last year, I had the privilege and honor to go on a 15-day pilgrimage in India. And yeah, did I have the funding for it, out the gate? No, I didn't. But I said yes, and things organized in such a way that it was never an issue. And so for me, it's deep listening to your yes and trusting in that yes, right? And not wavering, because that is where we start to self doubt, right? And we start to run through all the things that you shouldn't be doing. But it's like, no, like this is actually for me, right? And it's for my soul. And when that's involved, like nature will support us. Like I really do firmly believe that it's never let me down. So yeah. Yeah. There's the practicality sense that I think that you pulled in, but then there's also the soul's yearning, and when that's involved, like things will work out. So that's my yogi mindset coming in.
Yeah, yeah. Listen
Yeah.
to your yogi gut at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. How does it make you feel if you envision yourself here or not here? And what's the, yeah.
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 So deep listening to your yes, right? And I know Diana has been chatting in here, and I know that she was immediately a yes, and there's a few
Yeah.
others. I think Jen was immediately a yes. Carrie was
Uh,
immediately a yes. There's a bunch
uh,
of people that are on here that are like, yes, like I knew my yes. I knew I wanted to be here. I know I've always wanted to go to Thailand. And, a lot of these people have been on trips with me before, and they know that it's going to be a good experience, and that they're in good hands with the two of us. And I firmly believe that this is going to be a truly incredible experience for everyone. So, yeah, if you're on the fence, let's chat. Let's have a conversation, ask questions. I'm here to support you. Christoph's here to support you. He's handling kind of all the back end logistic things and so much more. And there will be so many more surprises along the way, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. Yeah. Do you think there's any like frequently asked questions or anything that we should kind of like leave with before we hop off? Anything we may have missed?
I mean, hmm, I think we've covered the most important part, which is like the essence of the trip and what it represents.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of FAQ on the Thailand Yoga Holiday website. If anyone's on the fence in here right now, feel free to drop your questions. And as we said, like once everyone's kind of booked in, we'll have a logistics specific thing with additional Q&A.
Yeah. And that'll
But
probably
no,
be over like a Zoom, right? We'll probably
yeah,
do that over Zoom.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. It'll
Yeah.
be a
Yeah.
private thing.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, some call. Yeah, we covered it. If you want to come early, you want to stay later, let us know. We'll make some suggestions.
Yeah,
Um,
Diana's saying that Jen and her are going to spend 2 extra nights in Chiang Mai in the beginning. And if
yeah,
anyone wants to come early and ride
mm,
bikes to settle in, she's inviting other people to join. So, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
sounds
That's a
great.
good way to do it. You get over the jet lag. It's nice. People ask about the food, right? The food is amazing. You know, I'm
Amazing.
def yeah, I'm definitely one of those more like, yeah, living to eat kind of people. So the
Yay.
general spread is, everyone's got some different ideas about, what food they should be eating and not. So what we just do, we just cover the table with everything, and everyone just picks and chooses and eats what they like, because Thailand has so much diversity
Hmm.
in terms of the regional specialties and whatnot. We'll rarely have the same dish twice, actually. So yeah, there's a lot of freedom there. And it's, yeah, generally speaking, very nutritious, full of flavor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't taste anything like what you think Thai food tastes like.
No, in fact, and when I come back to the States, it takes me years before I can actually order from a Thai
Mm,
restaurant because I'm very,
mm.
very picky about that.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, it's
Once you've had like
amazing.
freshly pressed coconut milk in your curry, you
Oh,
just can't go back.
it's so true. It's so true. Oh, cannot wait. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
We'll be on a food journey for sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a weight loss program.
That's why we have the yoga.
Right. Uh,
Amazing, amazing. All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking time. I know it's early in your morning, so thank you for being with me and meeting me here on this space. I think it was a really helpful chat that we've had.
mhm,
This
mhm.
will stay live on my feed and Thailand Yoga Holidays feed too. So feel free to refer back to it. And yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful way to experience Thailand. I agree. I agree,
Amen to
Diana.
that,
Yeah.
Diana.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Well,
mhm.
we're so excited. And if you have questions, we're here to support you along the way. Again, this